Another year and another PAX. We had more exclusive demos, some larger attendees, and I wasn't hungover for the Friday Media Hour Early Access, which was my first Media Hour. It was kind of cool. But is PAX something that you should check out if you've never gone to PAX before, and how does it compare to something, say, like Comic-Con? Now, excuse my voice as well, because I did spend 3 days doing nothing but walking around and checking out games and board games, as well as I lost my voice in the middle of a conversation on Friday nights talking about New Zealand tomato sauce and cookie time.
What?
But without further wait, well, how was PAX 2023? With E3 being dead and Comic-Con's basically following behind with the lackluster release from Marvel and DC.
I would never hurt anyone. I'm not a monster.
There used to be a time where I'd jump at the chance to go to a Comic-Con, but they have seemed to fall in a little sideways. However, PAX is different. The guests are different. The booths feel like something from New York Comic-Con, and the general public who attend are overall more welcoming and friendly. Thanks to PAX Australia, I got to attend this year's expo, and I got to give a few games a try with a couple of my friends. First one off the rank that actually kind of surprised me was Tekken 8. Now, personally, in my living room, I've been playing Mortal Kombat 1, and I've been having a bit of fun with it. Now, it's been a great game to pick up and play, especially when I've got the slow cooker on in the kitchen, for example. And growing up in my household, I was the Mortal Kombat kid when my brother was the Tekken man. So having a chance to play the new Tekken that drops early next year was super familiar and refreshing at the same time. The demo did have a decent selection of characters, and running at 4K at 60 frames per second on the Unreal 5 engine, it was buttery smooth and a graphical masterpiece. Environments looked beautiful, characters and clothes moved fluidly with their movements, and the dynamic camera for special or heavy attacks had me and my mate Norza reacting to impressive dodges and last minute special attacks that would change the outcome of a fight. Now, Tekken 8 does release in January 2024, and you better believe that when it releases, I will be taking a look at it. Now, Nintendo had a massive booth at PAX showing off Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is the classic side-scrolling style of Mario games, and if you've played any of these games in the past, then you know how much fun awaits you when you do inevitably play it. Now, there are new power-ups to use, such as one that turns you into an elephant, and the other one that gives you, say, a drill on your head to either find coins, used for a bit of platforming, and even in some instances to avoid combat. Now, what we did notice was the character of Yoshi can either be used by kids, as Yoshi can't die, or to be ridden by with other players. So for example, if you're playing with kids who find a particular platforming section a little too hard, you, say as the parent or guardian or uncle, like me, can play as Yoshi and then have characters like, say, Mario or Toad or whoever jump on Yoshi's back and then guide them through the tough parts so then the kids can keep playing the game, and that's a pretty cool option in my opinion. But the trade-off is that Yoshi can't use any of the power-ups, which is actually kinda cool. Nintendo also had a demo for The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a classic side-scroller with some pretty decent combat, some great challenging puzzles, and, well, pretty good graphics. It was interesting that there wasn't really any massive advertising for this game or the demo. It was basically just a simple walk up, play, there's no real lines in the area, and it was one of those games that sort of had me go check it out a couple of times. Now, Red Bull Gaming did have 2 F1 simulators like they did last year, but this time I didn't want to give them a try as they were the same as last year. Now, Next Level Racing did have multiple setups, including multiple hot lap challenges with F1 cars driving around either Bahrain or Melbourne, with the winner getting a prize pack, which I even think was a secret lab chair.
Would you get out of here? Who's gonna turn down a chair?
Next Level Racing, I believe, also had some flight simulators around, but seeing as I just spent an unhealthy amount of time in my current Next Level Racing cockpit covering Forza Motorsports, I knew that if I got into one of these, I wouldn't be seeing any of my mates over the weekend. The board game section was pretty rad this year too, with a decent sized booth showing off Star Wars Legion and Star Wars Shatterpoint, all while tempting me to pick up more plastic to paint for some fun streams. And the game tables, they had people playing Magic and Warhammer and 101 other different games, all of which had this really cool atmosphere. Now, the area, if you've not gone to PAX before, is more so like a hangout and a bit of a shopping or eating relaxing area, rather than just constantly showing off new games, and someone had created this giant bird thing too, which was pretty damn rad. With it being 10 years of PAX 2, I had a few friends that I caught up with that asked me how does PAX compare to Comic-Con when I would go under my old podcast, and while Comic-Con is great under its own right, PAX has more of a welcoming overall community. Comic-Con feels like a big giant market with special guests attending for photos and autographs, where PAX feels a bit like a giant LAN party from the early 2000s where a heap of people are here to play games, hang out with mates and just socialise really. Now, there were a couple of things that had me bummed out. Now, for instance, there was no Xbox, PlayStation or Ubisoft booth at PAX, all of which that have new games that they could have had on the show floor. A Forza Motorsport booth with around 10 racing cockpits or so, I think would have been a great way to promote their new racing game with us playing with other people at PAX. And it was kind of strange too that while there were other racing simulators scattered around the floor, they were only really playing Formula 1 23 or Forza Horizon. No one really had Forza Motorsports that's just released. However, a lot of booths had Assassin's Creed Mirage available to play, one of which had an Assassin's Creed themed PC case which looked rad. But with a new Assassin's Creed game and the Prince of Persia coming soon as well, having something like a Ubisoft booth to promote these games would have been cool. I also don't think I saw Rainbow Six Siege there at all over the weekend, but I did see my fair share of Counter-Strike. So it was a bit weird not having a Ubisoft booth of some kind. But hey, Assassin's Creed was everywhere, and I will say at least with the new Prince of Persia game being at the Nintendo booth, it was easily accessible for anyone wanting to play it without having to wait 2 hours for it. PlayStation, I think, have dropped the ball the most when it comes to their upcoming release of Spider-Man 2, a game that, as of the time of this video, has not released yet. But people are playing and reviewing the game right now, and having an early access look at a game or a demo for what might be the biggest release for PlayStation this year feels like a bit of a bummer. As Forza and Assassin's Creed have already released, there's no real reason to attend PAX to play a game that you can check out within the comfort of your own living room. But having a hyped game like Spider-Man 2 available on the show floor would have had 1,001 people checking out the game, and Spider-Man 2 is the only reason that I personally would have looked at getting a PlayStation 5, so having it on the show floor would have been a good opportunity to sell the console a bit, but hey, that's just me. But out of all the games I checked out, there was one game that blew my expectations away, and it was a game called Bears in Space, an upcoming game made by Broadside Games based in Queensland, Australia, and a game that I will 100% be playing and reviewing when it releases. And just like Justice Sucks in last year's PAX, Bear in Space not only had me return to check out the booth in the game a couple of times, but I also ended up taking my older brother, the aforementioned Tekken fan, to the booth for him to give it a try. Now, it's very serious Sam in regards to its goofiness and its fun, and the comedy the devs have put into the portion of the game that I got to play hit me right in the funny bone. Tekken 8 was beautiful and familiar. Super Mario Wonder will be a hit with Mrs. Dudi, and Prince of Persia will test my patience with some of its puzzles, but Bear in Space surprised me the most, and I think that makes it my game of the show, if that's even really a thing for me. But PAX Australia just celebrated 10 years, and by playing nothing but video games, hanging out with mates, and drinking for 3 days straight, I gotta say I had a fantastic time. Thank you to the crew for PAX Australia for allowing me to attend. But if you've never gone to a PAX before, well then, I highly recommend you check it out, as it's something a little different from Comic-Con. But whether next year's PAX will be your first PAX, or it'll be your 11th year celebrating this great Penny Arcade Expo, always remember to play with each other and play with yourself.